Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about my breastfeeding experience and just giving you some tips if you're new to breastfeeding or if you plan on breastfeeding your new baby. Just sharing some tips and advice that I have learned along the way. Sorry, I have a little cold, so I might sound like a little weird in this video. So basically I've been nursing for 3 years straight. So Kaylee stopped nursing when I was 6 months pregnant, and that is because I weaned her because I knew that I didn't want to nurse 2 kids at one time. A lot of people do it. I just knew that that wasn't for me. I'm not a professional. I'm not a lactation consultant or anything. This is just going to be like mom to mom, like what my experience was like, and these are just going to be tips that I think can maybe help someone who is just starting out or someone who is thinking about it. So the first tip I would give is if you plan on breastfeeding, then really stick to the plan. It is difficult at first. You will go through struggles, but it will get better. My number one advice, don't quit. If you really, really want to breastfeed and have that experience and have that bond, then I would just, stick through it. It will get better. Number 2 would be to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're planning on giving birth in a hospital, most hospitals will have lactation consultants there, and get help right away. Kaylee latched on perfectly in the delivery room, and then they asked me if I wanted to make an appointment with the lactation consultant later, and I was like, no, she's latching on fine, I think I'm okay. Wrong. By the time I got into my recovery room, she wasn't latching right. I couldn't really get her to latch anymore. And so I ended up making an appointment anyways with the lactation consultant just to get advice from her and tips from her, because with Cameron I did try to breastfeed, but I quit. And that's why I really say to stick to your plan, because since I did quit with Cameron, I really wanted that bond this time with Kaylee. I would say even if your baby is latching, it's always good to get as much information as you can, especially before you leave the hospital and you're on your own. So don't be afraid to ask for help. So tip number 3, or I don't know if this is really a tip, it's just information. My neighbors are driving by, this is really awkward. It might be painful in the beginning, but stick through it because it won't last forever. I used some lanolin, I think that's what it's called, nipple cream, and it really helped for me. And if the pain did get really bad, I would pump until it didn't hurt as bad, and then try to latch her on and the next day and see if it still hurt, or maybe wait 2 days and pump for 2 days. But yeah, it won't last forever, and don't give up because of the pain, because it will get better. Advice number 4. So getting the right latch can be hard sometimes, and the baby can become really frustrated. This happened with Kaylee, and I almost started crying because she was screaming. So my advice for you is just to stay calm, and you can try skin to skin. That really helped Kaylee when she was freaking out. And yeah, it can be a very stressful situation. So, because they've never done this before, and if you've never breastfed before, also you could just squirt a little bit of milk out and rub it on their lips, and so they kind of know what's going on, because at first they don't know what they're doing, and they might not know what's going on, so they're like, what are you doing to me? And then sometimes they need a little bit of encouragement, like, oh, this is good, let's keep going. My next advice would be to eat and drink a lot. You really need to stay hydrated. Breastfeeding moms need like 300 to 500 extra calories, I think it says. I think that's what my lactation consultant told me. He always said if mama doesn't eat, then baby doesn't eat. Yeah, so eat and drink a lot, stay hydrated. My next advice is try different positions. There's a couple positions that worked for me: the traditional cross cradle position and the side lying position, where you're like laying on your side. And at first, the side lying position was like one of the few positions that I could do with Kaylee. I was new at breastfeeding, you know, all the other positions seemed like really uncomfortable. When I was in the hospital, the cross cradle, I had like 5 pillows around me. So just experience with different positions and find the one that is, you know, you feel most comfortable with. The side lying position was most comfortable for me at first, so I went to lay down in bed to feed her, like every single feeding in the beginning, until I got more comfortable with the traditional cross cradle position. You know, try out all the different positions. It might be kind of awkward, but you'll get better at it, and then it will be a piece of cake, and you can pretty much nurse a baby however you want to nurse a baby. Tip number 7 is to feed on demand. When I was in the hospital with Cameron, they were really strict about, you know, you gotta feed your baby every 2 hours, and they would come in and they would be like, "Did you feed your baby yet?" I'm like, "No, he's sleeping." And they're like, "Wake him up." And that was really irritating. But luckily, by the time I had Kaylee, the hospital changed, and they're like, you know, you don't need to worry about feeding your baby every 2 hours. It's just on demand, and you gotta trust your baby, and you know, they know when they're hungry. They'll let you know, trust me, when they're hungry. And I know some people get like really, like, I wouldn't say like scared, but like nervous that their baby, like their boobs feel flat and maybe they're not getting enough milk. But trust me, your baby was getting enough milk. That's how babies regulate your milk supply. If they're going through a growth spurt, then they will nurse more frequently, so your body adjusts to making more milk, and then your boobs will feel like really full again. So my next advice or tip, I don't even know if it's advice or a tip, but it's really nice. Breastfeeding is pretty much free. You don't have to worry about getting a bottle at 2 o'clock in the morning and then warming it up and making sure that's the right temperature. Congratulations on your new baby!
Thank you! She poops a lot.
My next advice is don't be afraid to breastfeed in public. I was very, very nervous on, you know, breastfeeding in public, and even though I always had like a cover on, it's just, you know, people will look at you, people will stare at you, and don't be nervous, like, just don't even acknowledge them. I haven't really gotten any rude comments. People look at you and stare at you like, why are you doing that? And, you know, it's, our bodies were made to do this. Like, that's why, you know, that's why we produce milk. There's only one person who ever said anything to me. I don't know if she meant it in a mean way or, because she didn't say it that mean. I was at Disneyland and I was just walking around the park nursing, and she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, did you know, they have a feeding center or a baby center where you can nurse your baby?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I go there sometimes, but, you know, at Disneyland, it's a huge place. You don't want to walk all the way to the other side of the park just to go in a room when, you know, I have my nursing cover on, and it's obvious it's not bothering anybody. Like, nobody can see anything. Like, yeah, so you just have to get used to the stairs." Okay, my last tip: get some comfy nursing bras and nursing shirts. It'll make your life much easier. in public. No, they're not the most stylish things. Most of my pregnancy shirts I was able to just pull down. I do prefer to pull down my shirt rather than lift it up, because then like your back shows if you like pull up your shirt. Or if I did wear a shirt that I needed to do that with, I would wear a tank top underneath, so then like my whole side isn't showing from my shirt being lifted up. I think that's it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some of these tips or advice useful. Yeah, if you like this video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. I will be making chicken fajitas and chicken cilantro tacos, which both of them use taco seasoning. If you would like me to do recipes on the 2 crock pot chicken meals that I'm doing, go ahead and leave it in the comments below.